Arsenal's interest in a certain Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace all this week. Where do we stand on that one now, Mark?
Yeah, still no formal club-to-club contact at this stage, but we know that Eberechi Eze has a release clause, which we understand to be 60 million plus 8 million in add-ons. However, it's just a case of who wants to trigger that and pay that in its current terms. Now, the terms will probably be quite strict with regards to the payment structure and the way that the buying club has to do this. So it'd be interesting to keep an eye on. We know that Mikel Arteta is keen on the player, likes Eze. He's just had a fantastic campaign. He's been one of those players who's been sensational since he's come in from Queen's Park Rangers. Is this the summer where he gets that big money move? One to keep an eye on. Yeah, conflicting reports on this release clause, actually, because a few reports suggesting his release clause actually expires today. OK. Where there's other reports saying that there is an expiration date, but it's not necessarily today. And I think sometimes clubs like to negotiate on a release clause anyway. They sometimes might want to pay a bit more than the release clause in return for more favourable payment terms. So I think it's definitely one to keep an eye on, Eberechi, as we get towards the end of this transfer window. As much as Crystal Palace will not want to see him go, there is definitely an interest there from Arsenal. Michael?
Actually, to be fair, though, we've kind of picked them with you, haven't we? Yeah. We've just gone with the three behind me. So Gyökeres, João Pedro and Ugo Ekitike. We're going to ask you, Jay, which of those three do you think is going to have the biggest impact and why?
Well, I hope it's Gyökeres. I hope it's Gyökeres. But
who do you think?
Objectively, I think it will be João Pedro because Chelsea create a lot of chances, and Jackson last year, and even the year before, as much as he scored goals, some very good goals, he missed a lot of chances as well. And I feel like João Pedro, he's a very good player because I wouldn't say he's a typical number 9. He gets involved in the play. You see him at Brighton. He gets involved in the play. He drifts, but then he gets back in the box. And when he's in the box, he's calm on the ball. He's not like slashing at things. You see like a real confidence as when he's in around there, I can score my left foot, I can score my right foot. If I need to take a touch, I'll take a touch. His awareness of where he is away from defenders, whether it's, taking that first touch past the defender and then shooting quickly, he has that in abundance. And I think he will be very important for Chelsea. And if he can score the goals and get to, I always say, if you're a team and you have a player that is scoring 20 Premier League goals in a year, you're going to have a chance of winning the title.
Gyökeres has scored the most goals out of those three, but is he the one who's making the biggest step up? Is there the sort of biggest question mark over him? Yeah.
As much as, I'm really happy to see that we have signed a number 9. But there are questions about Gyökeres because, a lot of his goals last season were against like bottom half teams. Obviously, there was a lot of penalties as well. I think the way he played at Sporting is going to be different to the way at Arsenal. He's not going to be able to be running kind of, I wouldn't say channels, but down the sides of, in between fullbacks and centre halves because a lot of teams will just sit off against Arsenal and, kind of say break us down. So he's going to have to evolve his game. He's going to be having to come off into areas and be cute, little 1-2s. His awareness needs to be good. And then when crosses go in the box, he needs to be there to score headers, get them ugly goals. He didn't score a header last year. So that will be the questionable things. But there's no doubt, he's a physical specimen. He's strong, he's fast. And when the balls do get played over the top, yeah, he's powerful and he has scored some unbelievable goals as well.
You mentioned the difference in styles as a forward. I mean, like you said there, at Arsenal, it will be different Sporting Lisbon. You often play teams, they play in a different style. They'll often play against teams who sit back in a deep block. So as a forward, how do you adapt to that? And how do you think he'll find the Premier League?
That's a very good question. I think he's going to find the Premier League very hard. I mean, there's no disrespect to the Portuguese league, but I think by Opta, the Championship is rated higher than the Portuguese league. And, he done all right at Coventry, scored some important goals. But ultimately, when you come and play in the Premier League, you're playing against top-class defenders every single week, pretty much. They're all fast. They're all strong. So, that kind of physical battle that you might have the edge over in the Portuguese league, you don't have that in the Premier League. So then what do? You have to use your football IQ. You have to be cute around the box. The way teams will play, like I said before, against Arsenal, a lot of teams will sit off. So he has to come in areas, little cute 1-2s. The movement needs to be a lot more sharper to get away from these defenders.
Interesting, this isn't it? So according to what you're talking about there, you know, the average team
Yeah.
power
I mean,
rating, it's
that says it all.
In Europe, yeah. I mean,
that
low
says
championship.
Exactly, because when I look at, you know, when you see players around the world that are doing well, you need to look at the level of competition as well. It's not just scoring goals. Yes, the hardest thing to do is score goals, but then you need to look at who you're playing against. That would be my only question against Gyökeres, but he's a great signing. He needs to come and hit the ground running. I don't want to hear no talk from Arteta or anyone saying, let's give him time, let's bed him in. He's 27 years old. 27 years old, so these are peak years, and everyone needs to see him hit the ground running and get them 20 Premier League goals.
For Newcastle United, for their fans, richest club in the world, and yet they can't actually physically go out and spend the money that they'd want to.
Yeah, I mean, look, we know about these PSR constraints. I think the thing is in Newcastle, from the takeover onwards, is that they've jumped in the fast lane and it's been good. And recruitment-wise, they've got it pretty much bang on every time. Let's start with Kieran Trippier. He brought a bit of leadership to that squad, and he's been a captain there for some time. Bruno Guimaraes, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. OK, Sandro Tonali had a ban, which we know about. Top quality midfielder. I think their midfield's probably one of the best in the Premier League. They've spent very well, Anthony Gordon. But now they've hit this brick wall. Now, what interests me as well, we talk about replacing Isak. I think in an ideal world, Eddie Howe would like Isak and someone, because we have got the new European format, the Champions League, the Europa League. These are relentless, non-stop games. And you saw clubs come up short last season because the fixtures were too much. That, I'm sure Eddie Howe wants to build on it with Isak, not without him. So it's a saga indeed. But you mentioned players there, and we mentioned Ollie Watkins at 5 o'clock about being a potential replacement. I'd imagine that would be in a saga in itself, because Aston Villa are ultra ambitious for next season as well.
Yeah, do you know something? I feel really sorry for Newcastle in so many ways, because this is absolutely not the way they would have planned this window to unfold. They were sort of set back straight away with the departure of Paul Mitchell. So the people at the top of the club doing all of the deals at the moment are picking up things literally last minute. Now, most sporting directors, Dharmesh, and you'd be able to quantify this, will have a plan in place probably in February and March with how we want to attack the summer.
Even earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what we want to do.
Arsenal are reportedly poised to miss the deadline to trigger the release clause in Eberechi's Crystal Palace contract, which represents a major blow to their hopes of signing the sought-after playmaker. The Gunners have already spent a reported £193.8 million on transfers this summer, specifically bolstering their front line with Victor Gyökeres and Noni Madueke. However, Mikel Arteta has confirmed that the club remain open to further additions, with Eze widely believed to rank among the leading targets in North London. The reported presence of a release clause in Eze's contract theoretically simplifies negotiations. Palace would be forced to accept an offer worth a total of £67.5 million, with £60 million guaranteed and the rest made up of predetermined add-ons. However, the buyout clause expires 2 weeks before the start of the new season, according to BBC Sport. The new campaign starting date is not specified in the report. If Palace consider their appearance in the Community Shield against Liverpool on August 10th to serve as the curtain raiser, then Arsenal have already missed their window of opportunity. If it refers to the first Premier League fixture of the season, the Gunners would have to stump up the cash by Friday, August 1, which appears highly unlikely. They would have an extra 2 days if Palace are counting back from their opening league game against Chelsea. Regardless of the impending deadlines, Arsenal were thought to value Eze at less than his release clause and would try to negotiate a lower fee with Palace. If Eagles manager Oliver Glasner has any say in the matter, his star forward won't be going anywhere.